Pristine white virgin.
Hey, what's going on, Scatterbrains? Thank you for coming back to another episode of Scatterbrains. See, my name is Travis, and I am back to do a review, officially, for Married at First Sight, Charlotte Season 9, Episode 9. Yes, so this episode was a little bit different than previous seasons. I guess the experts have been paying attention, even though we haven't seen them as much. And they're realizing that things might not be going in the best directions for some of these couples. So they have decided to do a recommitment day and give the contestants the opportunity to recommit to their spouse or to bounce. So that is what the majority of this episode was about, was just the conversations that all of them had. All of the men met with Pastor Cal, and all the women met with Dr. Viviana, who we haven't seen as much. And I guess for the experts in general, we haven't seen them a lot this season, but it just seems like this season in particular, they just have not been around, So I'm gonna go over, what happened. The only side note that I had was Dr. Viviana's voiceovers. They just reality shows in general have to get that together. So who are we gonna start with? As always, we'll start with Kairos, because they're kind of there ain't much going on with them. Well, no, we'll come back. We'll do Kairos later. We usually do them first. Let's start off with DeGory. So early on in the episode, Greg meets with his friend Pico de Gallo, and they're just talking about how the marriage is going. And Greg's biggest issue at this point is the fact that Deanna will not open up to him. And I guess she might have said in previous episodes why she's so guarded, and it probably has something to do with the fact that she hasn't been in a relationship for 10 years and she's just been smashing people and not committing. So I guess it's just a level of fear on why she is not opening up to him. So that's his biggest thing. And he says it's really hard to read her, and she doesn't express her emotions. So when they sit down and they talk to Pastor Cal and Viviana, one thing that Pastor Cal said, probably to everybody, was that they didn't want any PC answers when it came to this meeting. They wanted everybody to be honest about where they were in the relationship, which I can respect. And that is what this whole situation, this whole experiment should be about. I mean, clearly y'all have had people get on this show who have not been open and honest. So realistically, there's no way to get these people to be honest. So hopefully by him telling them to don't give PC answers, nobody gave a PC answer, even though I thought somebody was kind of sounding like they were, but I didn't write it down because it wasn't really important, because the majority of everybody seemed like they were being very honest about how they were feeling about how things were going with their spouse. So as far as DeGory, Greg says that he thinks it's going well. Something else that they asked each person is, what would it take if decision day was that particular day? What would it take for you to say yes, which was a weird question to me. And then the other question was, what would it take for you to say no? So I thought the wording and the way they asked the questions could have been a little bit different. But Greg says things have been going well. And he says he just needs for her to be more open. That was the thing. And for when they talked to Deanna, I'm kind of sound all over the place. When they talked to Deanna, she was able to articulate and acknowledge that she does not articulate her feelings very well. And she realized that was something that she needed to work on. Viviana gave her some good advice on what she could do. So that's pretty much all I have for them as far as the recommitment stuff. And when they met up later, everybody met up later and debriefed and talked about how their conversation with the experts went. He shared a story. Greg is Nigerian. I'm going to assume he's full Nigerian. But he shared a story about how his father treated his mother when they were in Nigeria, which caused his mother to come to the States. So his view of women and relationships is he doesn't want to put another woman what he saw his father put his mother through. And that makes a lot of sense. It makes how we see Greg make a whole lot more sense. Because I think in general, Greg seems like he's a good guy. But I think it helped Deanna to understand why Greg is the way that he is, so that she can be more open with him now that she maybe has a better understanding and reasoning to think that his intentions are pure. Because I think that's part of Deanna's issue, is she doesn't really know how to gauge when someone is being sincere, because she's given herself to so many men. And that is the thing, when you just be smashing people, it clouds your judgment. You know, sex can really do that. It can really screw you up in the head when it comes to relationships. That's why it's important to really just be fully aware of who you're giving yourself to. So that's all I have for Degori. And we'll go to Kairos next. So I said in my notes that I would not have been surprised when the episode started. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if they had already slept together and they're just trying to play this whole virginity thing out. But as the episode started to go on and I watched them in their recommitment thing, I was like, nah, ain't nothing happened. So in order to get them to get Iris, really, because the issue is with Iris and this whole virginity thing is becoming too much. We're tired of hearing about it. But she is the one that's holding it up. Because later in the episode, she referred to it as this precious gift. And I mean, I guess I'm just so desensitized to what society standards are now that I just don't see it as a precious gift. When I guess it really is, but anyway. So they give them some sex dice. And on the die, there are different body parts and actions. So like list, kick, suck, feet, toes, boobs, like stuff like that. And you roll the dice and whatever it says you're supposed to do, but Iris ain't for that. You know, the things that came up on the dice that was anything outside of like here, kneecaps down, she wasn't feeling it, you know? So some of the things that came up was like blow your body, which was stupid. Like I don't want nobody blowing their hot breath on me. So I don't remember who did it, but somebody blew in somebody's ear. Touch toes, kiss body. When touch boobs came up or blow boobs came up, she said no. And I think she probably also may have said no because the cameras were there. But then I go back to what I said a couple of weeks ago. Why I signed up for a reality TV show? You're not willing to be your full authentic self. Now, granted, anybody expecting you to get on here and make a porn, but they're not going to show him on national TV just getting a handful. That's not going to happen. So, you know, she cheated him, but, you know. But Keith's biggest thing is that she needs to grow up, and I 100% agree. Iris needs to grow up. Yes, you are 27. You are grown. You know, you may not have come fully into yourself, but I just still think at 27, even if you proclaim to be a pristine white virgin, that you should still have some level of sexual maturity, because I think sexual maturity has to start with yourself and being comfortable with yourself before you can be comfortable with anybody else. And my thing is, if you have had experiences, you have had to have some level of maturity. So why those experiences are so different from this, I don't understand. But maybe it's because of that classification in her mind about what is a virgin and what is not a virgin. Maybe that all has something to do with it. Look at me sound like I'm analyzing this stuff today. So when they talk to the experts, some key points that Keith said is that Cal asked him if he was sexually attracted to her, but he said it's hard to say because of her sexual maturity level, which, I mean, I get if there was a woman that I was, you know, if I was in this process and I was Keith and this girl is so like, oh, like, I don't know if that's not going to turn nobody on. I mean, unless you're the kind of guy who's like, oh, I want to take it. But I don't think for most guys it's going to be like, oh, you know, I like that. You are so pristine. But so he says he doesn't know if he's necessarily sexually attracted to her, and that he admitted to being afraid to take her virginity. And he didn't know if he wants to be the one. And I guess, I know there are a lot of men who like doing that. I know that was a conversation that many guys had that I've heard when I was younger. But being almost 30, you know, for them, you know, it is something important and it's special, but I don't know why he would be afraid, given that this is your wife. And if you are looking at this as being long-term, why would you not want to have that special thing with your wife? That doesn't make any sense to me, but you know. And as far as her, Viviana gave her the advice to stop referring to it as taking your virginity. But I mean, that's just what everybody says. Everybody says, oh, such and such took my virginity, or even when you lost your virginity. I mean, essentially, it was given up, unless it was rape, but it was given up. So, you know, nobody really took it. It's just a way that everybody has been saying it for a long time. So I guess she's just trying to get her to reframe the way that she thinks about it. She also makes suggestions on how she can be more comfortable. And the advice that Viv gave her, she took. So they debriefed later, but they just talked about virginity. We've been talking about that enough. So what Iris does to try to make herself more comfortable and be more sexually mature is she gets edible body paint. Now, I've never heard of edible body paint before. So what she does is she's like painting different parts of her body, his body, and they like licking the paint off and all that kind of stuff. It made me uncomfortable to watch, just to be honest with you. I mean, because I know she's so pristine, you know, I was like, oh, your pristine tongue and lips ain't supposed to be doing all of this. So it made me uncomfortable, but it was just weird. It was weird because Iris seems so immature in that field. Watching her do this, I feel like I'm watching a child do it. Not to be like weird and nasty, but it just felt like, oh, you can tell like you just are not comfortable and it looks wrong. But that's just me. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about watching all of that. I was just kind of uncomfortable. We can go to Jezebeth next. We can pick up with them 2 days after he left. You know, last week he left out. I left some stuff out clearly because I was bored. Last week he called her a materialistic goat, and he didn't call her a goat. He called her the C word. I think he called her the C word, and I still don't really know what that means. I thought that was like that little part between. Never mind. So things that she has an issue with is that he says, some things he has an issue with is that he says she uses sex as a weapon. So like when they go through something, he feels like she takes sex as punishment. Where for her, she just feels like they do it too much. So I guess for her, that's the first thing that can come off the chopping block because she already don't want to do it in the first place. So when they talk to the counselors, to the experts, she feels like, you know, their marriage has gone to hell in a handbasket, that they're having sex about 5 to 6 times a week, but she thinks 3 to 4 is a little more appropriate, and that she admits to just doing it because he wants to and doing it to shut him up, which can cause resentment long way down the road if you are just doing it just for that reason, because you can end up making your partner feel like you're really into it when you're just going through the motions, and I just don't think that is a healthy thing to do in a relationship. But Kyrus and DeGory both agreed to the experts to stay committed to their marriages. I forgot to say that. Now back to Jezebeth. I didn't write down what he said to. Oh, anyway, he admitted to the wrong things that he did, and Cal broke it down to how what he was doing is not going to help their marriage to be successful. Nothing really stuck out there. They both ended up agreeing to still be committed to the marriage, you know, for whatever reason. I guess they still want that full check instead of getting it cut off halfway through. But when they debrief later, he apologizes, and they decide that they're going to talk about boundaries, which have to do with space, when one person wants space, when it comes to name calling, and they decide to devote one night a week to just talking, which I think is a great thing to do. You know, me and my wife just decided to start back doing that to try to cut back on our devices, because I'm on my device a whole lot. So I'm trying to cut back on my device and be more in tune with her. So, and I end with them because she talked about waxing his butthole, and I was just like, why are we having that discussion on national television? Like, nobody is putting wax back there and ripping it off at a high speed. Like, that's just not gonna happen. I don't care how much I love Carmen. She ain't waxing my butthole. Sorry. It's just not gonna happen. All right, and finally for Mamber, it's the same thing. We have another night where Matt has not come home, and she says that he has not come home in the last 2 nights, and she feels rejected and that she's not enough. She sent him text and he did not respond. So when we get to see them with Pastor Cal, I'm like, oh, Pastor Cal about to eat into that tail, because I don't get Matt. I do not get Matt. There is, in my opinion, more to this story when it comes to their marriage. And it's clear because Amber talks about the fact that he is one way on camera and he is another way off camera. Outside of that, there is more to this story that I just don't feel like we really know. Like, there is no way that a man who just got married would go spend the night at a friend's place who's not there. So he had a friend who was out of town and he went and stayed at his place, and you're married. And we ain't gonna do that whole, oh, he's a basketball player, he's used to traveling. Nah, I ain't accepting none of that stuff. It's more to this story. We may not ever find out what the real thing is, but I would not be surprised if there was somebody else in this situation that Amber and we just don't know about. Because Cal does ask him, and I don't think he ever says no, but when Cal starts pressing him about what's been going on, Matt gets offended. Like, dude, have you not realized what you've been doing? You don't have the right to get offended that people are asking you these questions, because you are looking really bad right now. So Matt starts off talking about he thinks they're in a good place, and Cal says, don't BS me. And I was like, tell him, Cal. Tell him. Call him out. And he said, where have you been when the cameras are off? And he just says that he's clearing his mind and he needs his own time and space. And I'm like, bro, you're married. You don't get your own time and space. You're married. You don't get your own time and space. You can get it within the marriage, but you can't get it outside the residence. Like, it just don't work that way. So they both end up deciding to commit. But as far as what Amber had told Viv, she says that he's not at home. Like I said, he's different on camera and off. And she told him that she just wanted to spend time, and he ignored her. She thinks he's living a double life, as I do, and her gut tells her that it's something else. And my woman's intuition tells me the same thing. She does say, though, that if decision day was that day, she would say no. But she says she's going to stick with it, and that's why she says she's going to stay committed and follow it all the way out to the end of the process. And as far as debriefing, she's afraid of how the talk will go when they actually do talk. But she asks him why he doesn't want to spend time. And, you know, they just talk about it. It ain't much anything. They have the physical thing on lock, but the emotional thing is what needs more work. And it's interesting because when you look at these 4 couples, you have 2 couples who immediately jumped into the physical parts of their relationship. Then you have the other 2 who didn't. You have Kyrus and DeGory, who did not jump into the physicality stuff. And you have Amber and Jezebel, who did. And not to say that these are reasons, but I believe that they're factors why Jezebel and Amber are going through these types of issues, because they started to establish that physical connection first before they tried to establish the emotional connection. So, in my opinion, kudos to DeGory and Kyrus for going the route that they did. Now, Keith, kind of didn't really have a choice, but, that may have been for the good. So I think the fact that Jezebel and Amber have been so intimate with each other, and that was kind of what they talked about a little bit, especially Jezebel. Y'all didn't build y'all's connection like y'all needed to. And I think sometimes when a man gets that part of you early on, the motivation to get to know you is sometimes not there anymore. And that may sound bad, but I just think it's the truth. I think male or female, you got to give people something to work towards. And literally, if you're giving, like, who gonna buy the cow if you're getting the milk for free? Like, it makes a difference. To me, it makes a difference. But one of the stipulations, the 2 stipulations that she gave him was that she needed a text at the beginning and the end of the night. From my thinking was, well, if y'all live together, why do you need to text? Like, is he going out that much? Like, if he's going out that much, that needs to be the stipulation. Like, you only go out once a week. Because if you having to put in place, you need to text me at the beginning of the night and the end of the night, and the other stipulation was that he's home by 2:30, like, that's a problem. Matt doesn't realize he's married. But y'all let me know what y'all think of last night's episode. Make sure you remember to like, rate, I say the same thing all the time, comment, subscribe, and share if you have not. My book is available. You can go to an old video to find the link. I'm really close to 5,000 subscribers, so I decided that when I hit 5,000, I'm going to do the 5K Q&A. I've seen other YouTubers do it. So I have an ask.fm. That's a almost like Honesty Box. Y'all remember Honesty Box on Facebook years ago? My Honesty Box used to be lit. I wish I could go back and read those messages, but it's where you can ask questions anonymously. So I put a post on the community part of YouTube. If anybody wanted to leave a question there, or if you want to ask a question through Ask FM, you can. You can leave your name or you can leave it anonymous. It doesn't matter. But any question that I'm asked, I'm going to answer. I don't think anybody's going to be inappropriate, but that'll be the video that I do for when I hit 5,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed and you're watching, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Just, if you're watching the video, if you got this far into the video, you might as well go ahead and subscribe. But I will talk to y'all later. Thank you for watching. I'm Travis. Peace.